today. I'm Syahirah Binti with the matrix number S47164, and today I'm going to present about my final year project, which entitled the reduction of cinnamaldehyde by using selected vegetables. I've been supervised by Dr. Ahmad, Nazif bin Aziz, and my co-supervisor is Dr. Hanis, Binti, Mohd, Yusoff. In my studies, I'm using two kinds of synthesis, which the first one I'm using green synthesis, and the second one I'm using chemical synthesis. Green synthesis and chemical synthesis that have been used in my studies can be defined as shown in the slides. Next, I'm using cinnamaldehyde with the molecular formula of C9H8O as my starting materials, having a physical properties of pungent odor and yellowish oily liquid form. The molecular structure of cinnamaldehyde is as shown in the slide. There are two kinds of vegetables that I have been chosen in my studies for the green synthesis, which the first one I'm using the carrot and the second one I'm using the jicama. It's also known as having a high potential reduction according to the previous studies. Chemical synthesis in my studies, it will lead to the environmental pollutions and also it will produce toxin. Chemical substance also usually extremely costly compared to the green synthesis. Therefore, in my studies, I've been used two kind of method, which the first one is green synthesis and second one is chemical synthesis, which the green synthesis is much more environmental friendly compared to the chemical synthesis, and the local vegetables are easily to be found in the market and much more cost saving. The objective of my research are: the first one, I'm going to reduce cinnamaldehyde by using carrot and jicama. The second one, I'm going to reduce cinnamaldehyde by using sodium borohydride. And then lastly, I'm going to elucidate the structure of cinnamon alcohol, which is the pure compound with the NMR spectroscopy. From the previous studies, it had been proven that by using green synthesis is much more preferable compared to the chemical synthesis. One of studies by the Lug et al. At 2020 saying that green synthesis is helpful in doing photocatalytic activities. Here are two kind of methods that have been used in my studies, which the first one I'm using green synthesis and the second one I'm using chemical synthesis. In green synthesis, I'm using two kind of different solvent, which the first one I'm using ethanol and the second one I'm using distilled water. In chemical synthesis, I'm using sodium borohydride to isolate the pure compound of cinnamon alcohol, C9H10O. As I had mentioned before, I'm using two kind of different solvent in my studies, which the first one I'm using ethanol and the second one I'm using distilled water. Can we conclude that there is no spot observed under the TLC. And here are the TLC result of my studies in green synthesis, which the first one I'm using carrot and jicama with 3 trials for 144 hours and there's no spot observed under the TLC. And by using distilled water, also there are no spot observed for the carrot and jicama. By using chemical synthesis, I had been successfully isolated the pure compound of cinnamon alcohol with the molecular formula of C9H10O. And here are the NMR analysis result for the proton NMR, which I can prove that the carbonyl group from the cinnamaldehyde have turned into the alcohol group from the proton number 1, which I assign here, bonded with the hydrogen number 2, olefinic methyl proton, having a chemical shift of 4.08 with the peak of weak broad singlet. And here are the proton NMR analysis for the aromatic group, having a clear reviews compared to the previous NMR analysis. Hydrogen number 5 up to hydrogen number 9 is assigned in aromatic group, which having a doublet of doublet peak, and hydrogen number 7 having a multiple peak. Last but not least, here are the result of my co-NMR analysis of the cinnamon alcohol, which we can identify as co-NMR having a proton-proton network connectivity, and hydrogen number 2 having a correlation between the hydrogen number 3 and hydrogen number 4, which meaning that hydrogen number 3 and hydrogen number 4 are busy now. To be summed up, for my studies, there are two kinds of synthesis that have been used. For the first one, I'm using the green synthesis, and the second one I'm using chemical synthesis. By using green synthesis, I'm using two kinds of different solvent, which the first one I'm using the ethanol, and the second one I'm using the distilled water. Both attempts are unsuccessful, but In using chemical synthesis by the help of the sodium borohydride, I've been successfully isolated the pure compound of cinnamaldehyde alcohol with the molecular formula of C9H10O. That's all from me. Thank you for watching.